My Golf TDI is currently not getting up to temperature when it should do, reading about 70 on the temperature reading. So I have a new thermostat to fit. Also bought the housing for it. I understand they can get quite brittle, and I didn't want to be halfway through the job and find I hadn't got the right parts. So we have both the thermostat and the housing. So the first stage is to remove the engine cover. So the thermostat housing is down here, behind the vacuum reservoir. You can probably just about see the top bolt there, and the bottom bolt is just beneath that. Which is just out of vision there. In fact, you can just see it at the bottom. So a lot of people say you need to remove the alternator to get access. I'm going to have a go initially without doing that, and I will remove the vacuum reservoir just to give a bit more space. Okay, to remove the vacuum reservoir you need an 8mm Allen key, and it's just below. So we've now moved the reservoir out of the way, and you can see where the bolt was that held it in place here. That also now gives us much better visibility of the housing for the thermostat, which you can see is just here, and the pipe coming out from it here. So we've now got much clearer access to both the top and bottom bolts, so hopefully we'll be able to remove this without having to remove the alternator. Now, with a 10mm socket I've managed to get access onto both the bolts that are holding the thermostat flange in place, so all looking good. I've just marginally started to loosen them just to check that they're undoable, which they are, and now I'm going to remove the coolant from the system so that it won't all leak out everywhere. So the engine under tray is now removed. Various Torx T25 screws that you need to undo for that, and have a length of hose and a bucket. And if you look underneath on the right hand side of the car, you look at it, you should have a radiator drain. You can see the nozzle coming out underneath, and to the left of that there is a turning twisting handle that will release the pressure, so we'll then be able to drain the coolant out. So I've connected the hose up to the drain point. Now we've drained the coolant, next stage will be to remove the bolts that secure the flange on, and then to remove the flange to get to the thermostat. What I've also done is put another drip tray underneath, because there's likely to be some liquid coming out. So the thermostat housing has been removed, so I've managed to get the bolts out. Thermostat's just been taken out. You can see down there that the tray has got an amount of coolant in. It's still dripping through, so it was well worth having that there. So we just need to fit the new thermostat, put the rubber O-ring on, and then we can refit it all. You can see what the problem is here. The one on the left, the spring has expanded at the bottom, so it's always open. The one on the left is the new one, and that will fix the problem. For the bottom bolt, I've used a 10mm socket on a swivel angled head, and use that to do the initial tightening. So that's now tight enough to be able to use the ratchet socket on it. And again, the top one I've done by hand, and now go tighten it up with the socket. But we've been able to do all of that without removing the alternator. That stayed in place the whole time, so it certainly is possible, at least on the engine that I have, which is the PD130. It may be different on other engines where access is slightly differently located, but certainly on the ASZ PD130 it is possible. Last thing to do once everything can put that together is to refill the coolant reservoir I've got a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and distilled water. Put that in and you'll then hear the system gurgling as the coolant flows through. Once you've put in probably around about 3 litres, the system should stabilise and you'll then be able to start the car, which will circulate it. You may need to top up again. You can see that the coolant that's come out is a slightly rusty colour, so it was a beneficial coolant change anyway. I think it was about 3 or 4 years since the last time it was done. So as you can see here, having changed the thermostat, the temperature is now sitting spot on 90, having warmed the car up.